When people hear the words dark web, they often imagine a hidden version of the internet filled with secret websites, hackers, and illegal marketplaces. But the reality is a little more interesting. The dark web is not simply the bad part of the internet. To understand it, we first need to understand where it fits into the web we already use every day. Let's start with the part you already know. When you open Google, YouTube, Instagram, or a normal website, you're using what's commonly called the surface web. These are websites that are publicly accessible and can generally be discovered through normal search engines, but not everything on the internet is publicly searchable. Think about your online banking account. You can access your account through a website, but your personal transactions aren't going to appear in Google search results. The same applies to your private emails, medical records, company dashboards, private databases, and other content that requires authentication or isn't publicly indexed. This broader collection of non-public or non-indexed content is commonly referred to as the deep web. And here's an important point. The deep web is not the same thing as the dark web. Most of the deep web is completely normal. Your email inbox can be part of it. Your company's internal dashboard can be part of it. Your private cloud storage can be part of it. There's nothing mysterious or illegal about that. The dark web is much smaller, but it's also the part people usually mean when they talk about the hidden internet. The key difference is that dark web services are intentionally designed to operate through networks that provide additional anonymity and aren't directly accessible through a normal browser and standard web connection. One of the best-known technologies associated with this is Tor. Tor stands for the onion router. The basic idea behind Tor is that instead of sending your connection directly from your computer to a destination, your traffic can be routed through multiple Tor nodes. Your traffic is encrypted in multiple layers and routed through multiple Tor nodes, with each node only knowing part of the path. That's where the onion idea comes from. Think of an onion with multiple layers. Many dark web websites are called onion services, and their addresses typically end with .onion instead of .com or .org. The goal of this technology is to make it more difficult for a single point in the network to know both who you are and where you're ultimately going. But here's something important. Tor does not mean you're magically anonymous. There are still risks. Traffic leaving the Tor network can have different protections depending on how the destination is configured, and websites, browsers, or other parts of the environment can introduce privacy and security risks. So, anonymity is not the same thing as complete invisibility. Now, why would anyone use the dark web in the first place? There are legitimate reasons. Journalists may use privacy-preserving technologies when communicating with sources. Whistleblowers may need ways to share sensitive information without immediately exposing their identity. People living under highly restrictive governments may use anonymity networks to communicate or access information. Security researchers can also monitor parts of these networks to understand emerging threats. But there's another side. Criminal groups also use anonymous networks. You can find discussions around stolen credentials, malware, illegal services, and other criminal activity. That creates an important distinction. The technology itself isn't inherently good or bad. It's a tool. The same anonymity that can protect a journalist can also make it harder to identify someone committing a crime. And this is where the dark web becomes particularly relevant to cybersecurity. Security teams don't necessarily need to visit random suspicious websites just to understand what's happening. They can monitor threat intelligence sources and look for things such as leaked credentials, discussions about vulnerabilities, emerging malware, or information connected to potential attacks. That information can help organizations protect themselves before an attack happens. But there are serious risks associated with interacting with unknown dark web resources. There are several risks: malware, phishing, scams, malicious websites, compromised files, and attempts to exploit vulnerable software. And there's another risk that people often forget: legal risk. The fact that something is accessible doesn't automatically make it legal to access, download, purchase, or participate in. So the dark web isn't some magical secret internet where everything is hidden and anything is possible. It's better understood as a collection of services and resources operating through privacy-focused networks that provide a different way of accessing the internet.